A very good morning to you, Flo and Richard, as well as the viewers at home. Like you've correctly cited, there have been a number of statements coming out from the African National Congress, more particularly in Parliament, where the Chief Whip issued a statement saying what you've just cited. But I have with me the ANC's Deputy Secretary General, Jessie Duarte, with me to actually unpack the official stance of the African National Congress. A very good morning to you, and we're very pleased to have you today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning to you and to all the viewers out there.
And then in terms of delving into the matter at hand, what is the African National Congress's official stance to the conduct, rather, of the Deputy President as well as the Chief Whip of the EFF in Parliament?
Yes. I think it's unfortunate that members of Parliament don't connect themselves with the oath of office that they've taken, which includes part of the oath is in fact the defense of our constitution. We crafted a constitution in this country that would enable us to build a nation that takes into account our diversity. And the fact of the matter is that there is a growing sense of racism which is permeating the language and actions amongst certain political parties, and in particular, what Mr. Shivambu did was to actually expose the EFF's neo-fascist perspective on race. Once we go backwards in that way, where if you have a problem with a person, you don't deal with the problem, but you deal with the person's race, that is exactly how apartheid dealt with black people pre-1990. The problem apartheid had was that they were a minority governing a majority. At the moment, we have essentially a black majority government in a non-racial, in the context of a non-racial society, and then a person who calls themselves a Marxist does the antithesis of Marxism, and talks about a person's race and you know, actually bullies the person in a sense to get out of a room because that person is not an African. Now, I think this statement, what jars about it is that if you know the person of On Momoniat, you'll also know that, look, whatever else anybody might be able to say about Mr. Momoniat, he is not a racist. He is, in fact, one of these people who grew up in the movement. Truth of the matter is he was in the same South African Communist Party unit with Gwede Mantashe. In those days, there were only 3 people to a unit. He was one of 3. He has an incredible struggle credentials, unlike the people who actually are insulting him in this way. I don't care whether or not you like a person or you don't like them. Don't go to race. What is the difference between Floyd Shivambu and the woman who swore at the police and is now serving a jail sentence, or the woman who called people monkeys on the beach, or today a young man was beaten up in Limpopo by white people because he answered them back? And they beat him to a pulp. We have that this morning. We got that news this morning. Or the young man who's put into a coffin by white people because he's black and crossing their land. What is the difference? Once you can't tell the difference, the principle is being marred. And I think that for the ANC, we want to make a real appeal to all South Africans. We've got to roll back on this perspective that when you're angry with an individual, you play the race card. The first thing you do is you attack the person's origin, you know. And then you don't even articulately express what the real problem is. You stop there. But inevitably, whenever there is that kind of racist slur, one would find behind it something else that the person who is wanting to swear a person in that manner is trying to hide away from. I know that Mr. Shivambu will probably be attacking all of us. You know, he so glibly refers to everybody as a Gupta person. I take exception to that, you know, I really do, because I think that We cannot all be given a name that he chooses for us. What if we went around saying things about individuals in the EFF that was really damaging to their integrity and their dignity? And I'm sure that that could be done. But many people don't do that. We hold back. We believe that we live in a multi-party democracy. We believe that we need to start treating each other with respect. But if you're a neo-fascist, you're not going to do that. You're going to use every opportunity to cast slurs, to insult. You will have very little content, but very much sloganeering. And yes, I think for us the principle is members of parliament have to behave above the rest of us in society. These are our policymakers.
And then in terms of what should happen following this particular incident, we know that the Portfolio Committee chairperson has come out saying that this is very unfortunate. What do you think should take place following this particular incident?
Well, I think this is a matter for the Ethics Committee of Parliament as well. When a member of Parliament cannot contain their emotions in the manner that Mr. Shivambu could not contain his emotions yesterday, this is a matter that should go to the ethics. From another point of view, I think it is absolutely unacceptable that parliamentarians, irrespective of the political party they come from, should feel that it is all right to bully civil servants. You know, I watch with complete horror many days as parliamentarians question civil servants and the manner in which they talk to them. They talk down to civil servants, they treat them with disrespect, they believe that civil servants are there to be insulted, not to answer questions. And I think in that vein, we need to stand up for civil servants in this country. If a civil servant has done something wrong, let's raise the specific matter that they've done wrong, correctly so. But let's not treat the matter of a civil servant according to A, racism, secondly, simply because you're a bully and you want to show this person that is in front of you that you can deal with him.
And then for the sake of time, let's come back to the politics of the African National Congress.
Sure.
We know that following the elective conference that took place last year, there were different factions that were highlighted, called the NTZ and Cyril Ramaphosa camp at the time, but we know that unity has emerged from the African National Congress. There's a political party that seems to have been making its way in social media. We're not sure how concrete this is. Veki Mentor actually came out and also told us about this particular party. It's called the African Transformative Congress. Is a split looming?
Not from us, no. You know, unless you're really working on the ground, you're going to make all manner of assumptions about who's splitting from who. I've seen the people in this transformative Congress that they're mainly from a church organization, as far as I can see. I don't recognize any ANC people who are leaders in the organization. Usually a split is led by a leader, and I don't recognize that as such. However, you know, South Africa is a democracy, and if more political parties come onto the horizon, welcome. You know, we should not be in a hurry to fear the advent of more political parties in a democracy that is developing. On the contrary, it's a good thing. It gives people more choices. But we believe that the ANC is a strong political organization. We're a liberation movement. We still have a lot of work to do. We are doing the work that we are supposed to do. There's an obsession in the media and in the unelected leadership of our country, the media and analysts, to presuppose that they know better about political party inner workings than we do. There is no split. I think it is also really unfortunate that because former President Jacob Zuma goes to a church gathering, that it is then assumed that he is leading a split in the ANC, despite whatever he's saying. He's saying, I'm not doing that, I'll never leave the ANC. And I tend to believe him because he is a true ANC leader.
Speaking of former President Jacob Zuma, he's going to have his court case on the 8th of June. Are African National Congress members allowed to go there in their regalia? I remember the last time it was said that they're not allowed to. And what will happen should they do that?
Well, you know, firstly, any ANC member in their individual capacity is free to go and give support to President Jacob Zuma. What the ANC NEC had said was that it would be preferable if people didn't wear their ANC colours. However, everyone knows that that is almost impossible to stop. People wear ANC colours when they go to a soccer match. People wear ANC colours when they go to funerals. People wear ANC colours when they go walking in the street. So it's not possible to make that a ruling that you can in fact discipline people on. So I think it was a ruling made. You know, people, I suppose, will go there. They'll wear whatever they want to wear. It's not something you can do in a very hard way.
And then lastly, in terms of the state of readiness for the KZN Congress that is going to take place, how far are preparations?
The Congress is taking place on Friday. It's opening on Friday the 8th. It will continue on the 9th and the 10th. We're ready. The province is ready to go to Congress. 4 branches from Lower South Coast could not be given permission to go ahead to Congress. There were definite problems there. With regard to Moses Mabhida, we stood ready yesterday all day to listen to disputes. The disputees then declared that they prefer to go to court. We're awaiting that. We're standing ready to then go to court. But, you know, there's been really good work done by the PIC, both led by Sikle Zikalala and Mike Mabuya Kulu, to look for unifying mechanisms and to find ways to unite people. We're hoping that people will accept this.
Thank you so much. That was the Deputy Secretary General, of the African National Congress, Ms. Jessie Duarte, unpacking all things politics from the African National Congress state of readiness for the Congress in KZN, as well as the unfortunate incident that took place in Parliament with the Deputy President of the EFF. But for balancing out of the story, we should be able to get comment from at least the Portfolio Committee head or chairperson to say what will happen going forward. Back to you in studio.
All right, Sindisiwe, thank you very much for that. That is our reporter, Sindisiwe Twala.